Welcome to the Who's Next Let's Go show. I'm your host, Mike motherfucking Johnson. I've been in 3 industries over the last 30 years, including real estate, automotive, and restaurant service. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing the stories that make us say, you can't make this shit up. So take a break from the mainstream bullshit and join me for another exciting episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. Welcome to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show, sponsored by the Back Porch Brewing Company and who'snextletsgo.com. Today we have a super special guest. She's been in the real estate business for quite some time in every aspect of the real estate business. And to go through her experience, you would never know she's only 23 years old.
Like hell.
So without further ado, we're going to welcome today's guest, Miss Michelle. Can't say her last name. Because we don't give last names on the Who's Next Let's Go show. Welcome to the show, Michelle. Happy to have you. We've been through some things together. Yes. You've been through some things separately. And Mario, you're going to hear some shit you've never heard before. And that's going to shock you.
No,
yeah. Well, you're going to hear some words you might not have heard before, even though I've heard you say quite a few things. So,
never.
Get the pass away.
You've been that hard.
I've been called worse by her.
I've been called Weta a lot.
Oh, you're a Weta. Oh. Wow. You know what Weta means?
No.
It's slang for a white woman.
Gringa.
And I've also been called Diablo Blanca.
Oh yeah, well, white devil. Yeah.
That makes you're like that one checks out. That one checks out.
Yeah. So, Michelle, I'm sure you have some funny stories to share with us today. You and I went through one here not too long ago we were just talking about where you actually came to the fella's house, the lady and the husband's house. He was a friend of mine. His parents, a friend of mine from the car business, his parents were trying to sell their house, and he's very, very antiquated in his thinking and will not get on the computer to sign anything. So we all had to travel down to his house and get him to sign every piece of paper, and not just the listing paper, but the paper when we got it under contract. And then the title work, which was when she came down, and everything we had to go down there and spend hours because they're super nice folks and they want to feed you and
tell you everything.
And they got pets and horses and
the
pigs
land
and super nice, but it is a time bandit. And Michelle's under her breath giving me the Diablo Blanco
I would
look.
never.
Motherfucker.
And I had to bring but I had to bring an abacus and a piece of charcoal to do this paperwork because it's like. Even the fax machine was like, is there like Western Union or like the Wells Fargo wagon?
If it had batteries or it was computer at all, he was not believing you.
No.
You had to write it all down.
Yeah. I had to use Latin. I was like,
Stone knives and bear claws.
Basically.
That's it. I mean, it was crazy. But we got through, and then the people who bought the house hated the people who sold the house. So at closing, they wanted a fist fight. And it was.
We kept them in separate rooms across, but they had glass doors, so you could watch them looking at each other and flipping each other off.
They were not.
Oh, they were motherfucking each other.
Oh my gosh! And I just would walk by. I'm like, "Can I get y'all something to drink?"
Yeah, she'd do her little southern thing.
Can I get y'all snack?
How y'all doing? Can I get y'all something?
And they're like, "Fuck off." I'm like, "Okay."
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Some water.
Oh, it was fun times. But anyways, share one of if I remember correctly, you used to manage like 8,000 doors.
I managed a lot of properties, and we are not talking like vacation rentals.
No fun shit like that?
This is in Aurora, Colorado, and we had Inglewood out there, but it was Inglewood. And they were trailer parks and cash motels.
So Ingletucky.
Right. Well, and like where the movie theater shooting happened in Aurora?
Oh, yeah.
Some of my properties were surrounding that. So it's a good area. Nice.
But let me ask you this.
Okay.
So you're at this neighborhood and the movie theater's there and it's a shitty neighborhood. Did you learn any gang signs?
Well, and my company name could have been a gang sign. So we went to the
West Side, Inglewood.
I dropped off at the hotel and we just bought it and there was some guy stabbed in the hallway. So I'm like, great. I'm like, put pressure on the wound.
And gift.
The sweet housekeeper, I'm like, sangre, to get it off the walls. I'm like, it's bad. I mean, that was like nothing. I mean, I did college properties before that, and that was in Tallahassee and Gainesville, and that had some stories as well. those people's children were not as well behaved as they had hoped.
Mommy and Daddy sent him off to school with the
Sent him off to school. And I'm like,
Thinking
well,
they're
your
saints?
kid got into worshiping the devil and sacrificed a goat in their apartment.
Oh yeah, that is a true story. Yeah, she told me
that
that
a true
before.
story?
That is a
Sacrificed a
true
goat.
Oh.
The poor goat.
The poor goat.
Right. So of course I'm dragging it out like, meh, meh. You did, you had to have dark humor, but yeah, I had to show the parents, like it was a long time ago, so we had Polaroids back then.
You're shaking the
Yeah.
Polaroid.
And they're like, well, my son would have never done that. I'm like, well, here's some pictures. They're like, do you take checks?
Oh, because you made them pay for the damage.
It wa-
Well, there's I'm guessing the goat may have defecated in the room and bled.
The goat was the least of the worries. It was like the pentagrams drawn on the wall in blood, or the kids, they send them off. You wish them the best.
I said, I went off to college. We just partied.
I
had
did
a good
not
time.
worship the devil when I left.
I was in school and all I did was drink myself right out of school.
And
Got
I
failed
didn't
right
even,
out.
I was at Florida State and I didn't even drink.
Oh my God.
In the 90s,
What?
What?
right? Do I get a prize?
You must. Well, I drank enough for me and you and
Mm-hmm. I
got thrown
appreciate
right out.
that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm a
Yeah,
giver.
I like that. No, I
am
was
a
I was
giver.
even a nerd in college. Couldn't shake it.
I think you've shaken it now.
I don't know.
So you managed to 8,000 properties and you've seen some, 8,000 doors we call them, and you've seen some devil worshiping. I'm sure you've seen some drug dealing. And,
Oh yeah. Well, I had rules. Like when I first started out, first you're a leasing consultant when you're 20 something years old, and those were okay, little college properties, and then you move into more and bigger, and then you move up the chain. But people would move into some of these properties, and I knew they were dealers. Dealers got to live somewhere, okay?
so you were happy to oblige.
Right. I mean, fair housing, you can't prove. So I would just make rules, that don't get high on your own supply and don't deal in front of my building. And because if they get high, then they're not going to pay. Like if you're dealing crack and you start using crack.
Yeah, you don't want to pay your rent.
Right. Same as the prostitutes. And they had like banker's hours. They were working like 9 to 4 during the day.
Really?
Asia. And she was on Xanadu and Colfax there in Aurora.
I know her. No, wait. Just
I know
kidding.
her.
I've been to Colfax, but that's another story.
Right. Playboy magazine called Colfax Avenue the most crooked street in the United States.
And it was
And
a
it's
straight.
straight.
And it's straight as can be for
Yes.
about 40 miles.
Yeah. It's Highway 40.
Yeah.
So clearly you accepted cash payments.
We did. Sure enough, yes, we accepted cash, and we would have, craziness. Sometimes I would do cash for keys, or sometimes people would pawn their trailers. So I'd have to go to the pawn shop, like in Colorado Springs.
Hold on. How does that work? I gotta know.
So they come in with because trailers are like a car. So you can pawn a
1,000
car.
yeah. It's got a title
Because
and-
we own the land, and they just, they didn't own the land.
So you rented the land out, so it wasn't a co-op or anything
Correct.
like that. So-
Right. We are not talking like fancy with pools and stuff. We're talking.
Oh, so it wasn't in Venice. It was
It was in Colorado.
There was a picnic table.
It was one of them. The name it was Shangri-La, and it was not the Shangri-La. But you had interesting people, and they would pawn. They would run out of money. They'd pawn their trailers, and I would find out where they were because there's only so many pawn shops in town, and I got to know them. And I'd walk in there, and I'd ask about what they had, and then I would remind them who I was and that they owed me $10,000 in back lot rent for all these trailers. I'm like, or you can sign them over to me, and then they would sign them over to me.
So then you just sell them for cash.
I seem shady.
Oh yeah.
The 90s were a rough time in the early 2000s, okay? It was different
Especially
back
since
then.
you were a young teenager, so.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm getting brownie points over here like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So you got these houses back, and then you sold them, and then what brought you to get out of that business? What was the
Well, I
final
did
straw?
that for a long time, and then because I grew up out here, went to college in Florida, and then I moved out to Colorado, but I moved back to Florida.
So, and then you did the same thing here? You
I
did the
did.
college here before you went to Colorado, and then
Correct.
and then came back.
And then came back. I was gone for 18 years.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So that's the benefit when you live in a small town and you grew up here, but nobody actually knows you.
Hey, come back and nobody knows you.
Yeah, so I can look homeless.
I've actually been homeless. It's not fun.
Well, same.
I slept in my car for 6 months. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So, what's actually the funniest story you've ever seen?
Well, it depends on who you're asking.
Well, we have dark humor.
We have
Yeah,
very dark
you have
humor.
to have dark humor when you're doing some of these things. I mean, there's funny stories, but there's one where it was January and it was an unusually warm day in January for Colorado, and I'm wearing a snazzy little outfit because I have to go meet with some higher ups at, at some of my beautiful office buildings. But I got a frantic phone call from my district manager underneath me that said, she's crying, I can't even understand her, I need you to come out here. I'm like, you have on-site managers and her, and then like, I'm way up. I'm like, okay. I get out there and she's like, there's something wrong. And there was like 500 pads out there for trailers. It was a big place. It was built right after World War II. I know where you're going.
No, I didn't. I didn't want to go there. I was like, what?
Okay, good. No.
I didn't want to go there.
Nobody wants to.
No.
And so, I mean, and they're all very close together because they were built right after World War II. So it's not like now with the rules where you're far apart. I mean, you are. And they are like 10 by...
High-fiving each other through
and
the
these are like
trailers.
1950-something 10 by 50 trailers. We are not talking...
Single weights.
Correct. And so I get out of my car and I'm like, oh, you have a dead body here on the property. She goes, are you sure? I'm like, I can smell it. I'm sure.
Yeah, you can't.
And so the lovely people who lived in one of the units, she never left the house. She had that agoraphobia. They were in their 50s. I thought they were, dead. Obviously, I could smell. So the fire department went in to make sure that it wasn't the gas that killed them. The lieutenant went in there. He came out screaming like a little girl. The woman in the back woke up like in the movie Seven. She sat back up. She was in I can say his name. He's dead. He was.
Yeah, you can say his name.
Eugene. He's dead. He was at the kitchen table like this. Passed away. And then she was face down on the bed. Well, then as soon as they went in with their gear, she sat up and like waved at everybody. She had hit him over the head with a cast iron frying pan and had been living with his dead rotting corpse for 21 days. Now, she was a sturdy girl. And he was in the
Hold on.
She was sturdy and he was in the kitchen. So she was eating for those 21 days.
Oh, and it's a little trailer.
So 10 by 50, they take her out on a stretcher. God bless her, right? That's what we say. Bless her heart. Obviously, she has lost her mind. And
She cocked him with the frying pan?
well, then this is when digital cameras first came out, and my head of maintenance is there, and they take a picture of Eugene, and they're like, is this him? And he's like this. I've seen him wear those shorts before. He's like, you have to understand, Eugene was this color when I saw him last. And now
Blue.
he looks different. So, the coroner comes out and he's wearing an Armani suit. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he drops
The coroner comes out. Hold on, time out. Why would
he was very fancy. Oh. It might have been Armani Exchange.
But definitely
Might not have been full Armani, but he was very fancy and he didn't wait for his partner. I go, you might want to wait because Eugene's been,
been in there.
rigor mortis has set in, left, came back, and he dropped him. And I don't know if you know anything about bodies.
They break.
You're correct. that skin, when it hits, it just... Oh. So then you got Eugene juice everywhere. And...
Eugene juice.
And Eugene juice is seeping into this wood trailer everywhere. And so they drag him out. Well, he is stuck in the body bag like this, because he's kind of petrified like this. Well, and they couldn't fit him in the back. I'm like, just put him in the front seat with you. Put his head on the counter, or on the dashboard, because they brought a van out. Well, you have to have, we're doing eviction at the same time, and there's so many police. Well, I get back to our office, and my boss is a hugger.
Oh?
He's a hugger. He likes to hug.
I thought you said a hooker. I'm like, what?
Maybe. God bless him. I love that guy. I don't think he needs to escort, but.
All right, fair enough. I just misunderstood.
But he goes to hug me. I'm like, don't hug me, because I had to go in and lock the door. I had the juice, and I'm wearing a beautiful Ann Taylor outfit. And he's like, what is that? I'm like, it's Eugene. Well, he was my number 40 dead body that I came across personally. So the next day we had our weekly meeting, and I got a set of steak knives. Little Henkel steak knives? Yeah. Because he's like, did he pay rent? I'm like, no, that's how I knew he was dead. Because he always paid on time.
And if he didn't pay, he's dead. You got a set of steak knives. Now, that shit's funny.
Yes.
I don't care who you
I
are.
did get steak knives. Like, legit. That was how our brains worked.
Sick.
I want to work there.
Sick.
That's kind of funny.
That's sick.
I like the
The
steak knife.
underbelly of property management. Even like really nice places, crazy things happen.
Well, they're a place in Nokomis. The dude didn't pay his rent. They were going to throw him out. He shot the manager.
Yeah, at the place.
Dude's
I've had guns
80-something
pulled on
years
me.
old.
Yeah, I've had guns pulled on me.
Oh, I bet.
Don't
Well,
mess with an old
you tell this story. You kicked somebody out, probably more than once, on Christmas Eve.
Okay, now in my defense, there are a couple.
Merry fucking Christmas.
There are a couple evictions where I know where I'm going in the afterlife, and
Is it hot? You're here in Florida
it's hot.
practicing?
I've already got a condo in the seventh circle of hell that I have put my escrow money down on. But I know where I'm going because of this. It was actually December 23rd, and I evicted somebody from the
Well, that makes
trailers.
sense.
No, it gets worse.
That's okay.
Well, I evicted her. I could tell something was going on because she went from 250 pounds down to 125 really damn fast. And we all know how that works. And Ozempic wasn't around back then, okay?
Oh, crack was, though.
Right. But methany.
meth.
And so I knew, and like her baby be out in the middle of the street, and I'm like, ugh. So I evicted them. Well, we owned the motels in the front of it, and you could get a housing voucher with the county. Well, so she went and got a housing voucher with the county to move into one of the motels out front. Well, once you're evicted from one of our places, you're trespassed from all of them.
Yes.
So then I found out she moved in. So December 24th, it was Christmas Eve, okay, mate? So I went over there on Christmas Eve and I opened up the door to the motel and she was eating marshmallow mateys, the fake version of Lucky Charms, marshmallow mateys. And I'm like, you gotta get the fuck out.
Well, that was...
There you go.
Did you sugarcoated it? I can tell.
I did not.
No.
I was not very happy with her. Yeah, well, and then I had another one. I evicted some guy. I don't want to say it out loud.
Say it out loud.
I evicted
Well, how
some
are we
guy
gonna know if
in
you
a
don't?
wheelchair.
Oh, yeah. Roll.
I put his fish tank on his lap and I rolled him out of his trailer. Now, in my defense, he was dealing drugs out of his trailer. And what do we remember my first rule?
Yep, can't do
we
it.
don't deal there. So just because he was in the way. But I know where. Marty's like this, trying to get further away from me.
We're fine. We're fine.
He's waiting for the lightning to come down and strike
No,
me.
God already knows all this happens.
That's true.
Nothing's going to happen now.
Right, I'm also, you're good, you're safe.
No. See, when you evict them, they move into their car, and then I repo their car.
Yeah.
We totally work together. I
yeah.
love to do that
Let
stuff.
me go ahead and remind you that he's a repo man.
I love that.
And he repoed a guy from ICU who came down with an assless gown to chase him down in his car. So you have
I
nothing.
salute you.
You two are two peas in a
We
pod.
are. Oh my God, the fun we would have had.
It wasn't Christmas Eve, but it wouldn't have mattered. If
Wouldn't
it
have
was.
mattered. He
The man
would've-
was
it
in
was
ICU.
Thanksgiving.
Huh?
It was Thanksgiving.
It was Thanksgiving.
There was some kind of
Yeah.
federal holiday.
Fucker didn't get his turkey.
Right. Oh, I like that.
So,
I'm not saying Dog the Bounty Hunter was at some of my properties, but he was.
oh, really? The actual guy?
Yeah, because he
Oh,
was out in Colorado, and my places were,
Were they? That's
Thanks.
crazy. Wow. The stories we could tell.
Yeah, right? And people just look at me like, oh,
So the
Just
first
a fun
episode was him repoing cars. You're repoing property. This is going to be great.
that would have been fun. We could have done it together at the properties,
We
right?
could have, absolutely.
So I guess you've already answered the number 2 question of the most shocking thing, but I don't know if you can
know.
top that.
I don't know.
There's got to be more stories than that.
Well, there's lots of stories you can write. Oh, I have one.
Here we go.
Oh.
All right. Come on.
It has to deal with another national or federal holiday.
Oh, perfect.
This time it's Easter. And I got a call on Easter Sunday that one of my tenants had unfortunately passed away, but I needed to come down there right away. He was strung up on his tree in the yard like stigmata.
Oh.
And there was some gang activity in the area, and they like to be very, like to do a sign, like
They
here.
send messages.
Messages, that's the word.
Yes, they send messages.
And that was, and a lot of, right.
West Side.
We're not doing gang signs.
He's not either. I can promise.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that was.
I don't know if that was a weird American sign language or he's over there like this.
He's having an epileptic seizure over here.
Yeah. I don't think that's it. They wouldn't let you in the gang. But I did, and the detective showed up and he goes, I think it was a suicide. I'm like, what?
Hold on. How do you kill yourself?
I was like, it was barbed wire. I'm like, a suicide?
Nobody barbs wire themselves.
And he's like, Michelle, it's just safer for you and everybody here that it was a suicide. I'm like, yes, sir.
Duly noted. Where do I sign?
I completely understand.
Now, I got to ask this question. It's a fair question.
Oh, fair.
Inquiring minds have to know.
It's got the halo.
So when you get a phone call that somebody's dead after your first 40, do you start counting in your mind if you're going to get another set of steak knives or not?
I don't know what the limits are because
Oh.
my total was only 43.
Oh. So what would have been the
Eugene was
next?
close to the end, you know.
Well, I want to know what the next level would have been. I mean,
Well, I
what,
think
a
I should have got
vacation?
presents for when that guy melted into his couch and the mom was like, Cousin Eddie and Christmas Vacation. Like, I need my couch back. I'm like, I want to fumigate this here chair, Clark. I'm like, you can't have the couch. Your son has melted into the couch.
What do you mean he melted into
He died and he melted into his couch.
And she,
And then she's like, well, that was my couch. I would like that back. He's gone. He didn't like that one. He put his head down on his desk. He was done. He
she
was like,
wanted the couch back.
yeah, like Cousin Eddie when the cat got burned up and I like to fumigate this here chair. Yeah, I'm like, ma'am. I go, no, it's probably not the best. And I had to finally at the end, I'm like, woman, son, he melted. And we had to take the couch out with him. Like,
How did he melt?
because he had been in there a while.
Dead so long. So he had
Melted.
Eugene juice.
he disintegrated.
You know how long it takes
Yeah.
Eugene juice to get out of your hair?
No,
like a
I do
skunk.
not.
It's like a skunk.
But that smell, you can never forget that smell.
You know it's not animal. You know it's people.
No, yeah, you can. It's a.
I mean, I had some fun ones where, I was showing one of a kind properties. So, and there would be like college boys that lived in them. And then maybe a girl and her parents wanted to come look at it to maybe rent it the next year. And they were getting pissed that I kept having to show their apartment. So then I walk in and they're all fucking naked.
Oh.
One's naked ramen cooking, one's naked Nintendo, one's, And I'm like, you son of
It's not even
What-
a toga party. It's a
should-
togaless party.
a... Yes,
Should some of them been embarrassed by the fact that they were naked?
100%. 100%. I'm like, I don't know what you think you're doing with that.
Something tells me you would have said a line similar to this.
I would
It
have.
must be cold in here.
Uh-huh. I'm like, even you're making that top ramen, I don't know.
It's not like that's going to hold up a washcloth,
I don't
sir.
see oodles of noodles around here. Yeah,
Oh, so have you ever busted in on anybody actually doing the deed?
of course.
Oh, yeah.
There was one unit where everything was covered in black tarp. And then he had a
Oh,
chair.
whoa, whoa.
Okay, whoa. What do you mean everything's covered in a
The
black
walls,
cloth?
the ceiling, the floors, the cabinets.
and expectations of some sort of.
And there was German hardcore porn pictures up on all the walls.
No.
And then a chair in the middle of the room and then like a gimp suit nearby.
I've been to Nuremberg, so I know what she's talking about.
We'll have to ask questions.
We'll send you some
offline.
videos later, some links.
Yeah.
They're not safe for work, but we'll send you some links. No, it was, and he obviously just used it for that.
Oh,
So
for
when you
that?
walk
So-
in and they're,
Whoa. Back
he
up.
wasn't dead.
Oh, they were.
There
just,
it is.
Oh,
There it is.
So
you
some
might want to
sort
edit
of
that part out too.
fantasies or whatever, and
I had people who were, running weird businesses. I had pigeon racing. I had
dog fights.
dog fights. I had everything.
You had a dog fight in an apartment?
Well, it's a trailer park.
The trailer. Yeah.
But at the apartments, I had a full Indian restaurant out of a studio apartment.
No, you're lying. Stop it.
I swear.
And the neighbors didn't complain about that.
Of course they did. And then I had to evict them.
I mean, I love Indian food. Do
I
not
like
get me
Indian
wrong,
food,
but
too.
but that curry smell is.
I
Carries.
had to rip out the cabinets
Yeah. Oh,
because it seeped in. Nobody wanted to live in that. I mean, it's delicious.
I bet it was.
But sure, I'm going to pick up lunch before I evict you.
I'd like 3 things to go, and you have to go.
Right. Butter chicken with it. Thank you so much, but I need you to pack up after me, if you don't mind.
I'm your last meal.
Right, I'm in.
Wow, that's funny stuff. Oh, man. So you've seen some stuff. Pales in comparison when you come to Sleepy Little Venice, huh?
Well, even though I grew up here, but it's so funny when I hear, we're in real estate and we hear agents like, oh, I went into a house and it kind of smelled a little bit like dog. I'm like, I had a lady who had 150 cats in her 1-bedroom apartment. I walked in and then I got like 200 flea bites, or one unit, it was like Joe's apartment with the roaches and they're dropping on my head.
Gross.
So I'm like, for me, I walk in anywhere because I do a lot of investment properties with, and I walk in and it's like nothing. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, this is nothing.
Yeah.
There's like a dead rat over there. I'm like, I'll just move it out of the way. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get squeamish with anything.
No, shocking. Never hear the most you get is we talk about it in some of my.
No, he is my favorite story.
So we hear some of the podcasts we've referenced here. We see pot, or smell pot when we walk in.
Oh, yeah.
Half the houses smell like pot.
And bong water never comes out of carpet.
No, and that smell is just.
It's the resin, and it just works into the carpet. You got to replace. I know that.
Even the padding.
Yeah, everything. That doesn't come out.
And
the things you learn, right?
Well,
the more you know.
What kills me is how people just have no idea. Like I said, hey, you might want to do something about the pot smell. We're going to have some showings this week. You can smell that? Fuck.
Yes.
How do you not?
You're like, I don't know if that was the good stuff, but it's very skunky. Yes, we can smell it.
Yes.
Where'd you get it?
I all of a sudden want Doritos.
Yeah.
Right. Where'd you get it? From the racetrack? Where'd you get it?
Behind
that.
So, God, I'm afraid to ask the next question, but what's the shadiest thing you've ever seen?
Well, it's probably me.
Outside of you. We don't want to go down that path. You live here.
I mean, look at the stuff that is business, okay? Just
It's
like
business.
with you, repo, it's business.
You would not have had to evict anybody, nor
they did what they were
repo
supposed
anybody
to do.
if they did what they were supposed to do. So to have very few cases, I can't say all of them, but to have sympathy for most
I
cases.
did have.
No, I don't, because most of the time people put themselves in that situation. So,
Well, I mean, there were still cases where if they had children, like a single
Yes.
mom, I'm paying their rent. Like,
Yes.
or I went to, my boss, I'm like, we got to do something. Or there were times where we were I wasn't complete devil, but there were other times where I didn't feel. The only time I felt awful when there were children,
Right.
and CPS would have to come out.
or if you saw someone legitimately making an effort, not spending frivolously, legitimate, and couldn't put it together for one reason or another, and most of those people didn't fit in that category. Most of the people I
Correct.
could give a fuck about because they put themselves in that.
Right.
If you're door dashing and you hadn't paid your rent and you're paying $60 for DoorDash,
Right.
I got zero sympathy for you.
Right.
Zero. You get your ass out and you go get to the food pantry and,
Right.
and you pay your rent. Because
Right.
a roof over your head is way more important
Right.
than DoorDash and Taco Bell.
Oh yeah, I'm a single mom,
Zero
and I have been
sympathy.
And I don't like shopping. I mean, as a woman, that's crazy. I don't.
No comment.
And I am very frugal about
Sorry,
that
honey.
because I've learned that from being single mom since I was in my early 20s. Like, you get shit done. You take care of business first. You can't no, you don't see me going on vacations even. I gotta, you do what you need to do for your kids or whatever the situation is. But yeah, there were some where I was kind and buying them Christmas presents for their children. And so but then there were other times where you had to, cash for keys is kind of shady. They don't do that anymore. Like, if I was evicting, because evictions can take a long time.
Oh, you
so
pay
it's
them to leave.
basically repoing.
You
I paid them to leave.
You paid them to leave. Okay.
Yeah, but that's not legal anymore.
No.
I don't know if it was legal then. But, there were
Just in
some,
case we'll go no, and then we'll do what
Right.
we do anyway.
or
I've never done it.
Right. I don't want to say, we did redevelop a bunch, so it made, we had to tear down all their homes. I bought them out of their trailers, so too.
But the point I'm trying to make is, same with your business.
Oh,
and
it's shady with people.
Is that most people put themselves in that situation and have zero sympathy
Right.
or empathy for them. Very few cases you want to be kind and you want to help those people.
Right.
But you have to want to help the people that want to help themselves.
Right.
If you have zero desire to help yourself or get better or do anything, I have zero sympathy for
I
you.
agree.
If you lose your house, you lose your fucking house. You
Right.
lost your house. I didn't lose your house.
Right.
You didn't take his car. He got his car taken.
Exactly.
I've fired hundreds of people from different businesses I've been in, and I can think of one person in that whole group that I didn't want to fire.
Right. And I was the hatchet man as well, where you went in to do the firing
You just-
because there
and
were
they
some
fired
people,
themselves.
They're like, oh, I'm going to sue you. I'm like, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm like, but I'm firing you because you and your boyfriend did a scheme and you pretended like the motel was getting robbed and somebody came in and tied you up and then he stole all the money. I'm like, I figured it out, super sleuth.
But they all fired themselves. And
Yes.
it's like, you know, you sue me all you want to. If we got to this point, I'm covered.
Right.
I made sure I thought this through before
Right.
you hit the door.
Right. Like, I've never lost any of those unemployment cases because they were all.
There was one case where my boss came to me and he said, I want that guy gone by the end of the day, and didn't give me a reason. And I liked, the guy did a great job. He ran some good numbers. He was in finance. And I said, I know, chased the boss around the whole day. Why are you firing him? He's a great employee. He's done nothing wrong. I don't like him. I want him gone by the rest of the day. Then you fucking fire him.
Right.
And so, but
I'm not doing your business, your dirty work for you.
I had to end up doing it. But
I've seen shady things where people, even doing title work, doing real estate closings, maybe people would be buying a house and saying they weren't married, but they were married, but they were buying it for their mistress.
Oh.
But then loans, Tony would have told you, you have to show, even if you are getting a loan by yourself, your spouse has to sign off that you're getting a mortgage.
Oh, 1,000. If she's not on the loan, she has to sign on the title.
My favorite shady story is I was helping an agent and he sent me the contract to do the real estate closing. And a very fine agent, but he was on the buyer's side. Mm-hmm. And I had to call him up and I said, unfortunately, one of the people in your contract is dead. I go, the seller is dead. Mm-hmm. They're like, what? No, she signed right here. I'm like, oh, she dead. And so I called up the listing agent and I said, yeah, I just have a question about Miss So-and-so and to see, how she's doing. Because he's like, oh, well, she's ill, but she has all her faculties. Like, she's good. I go, she died in May of 2018. I'm like, do you want to try again? I go, you signed for her. Oh. You didn't want to go through probate.
Oh.
And of course, I'm like, the feds.
Yeah.
My friends, you always have that one friend that can look up anything. They're like, there was this guy. Yeah, that's us. Oh, we'd be such trouble. They're like, I know this guy in first grade and his name was Eric. Can you find him? No problem. And so, because I always, even for the real estate clients, it's not like I didn't trust y'all as agents, but I did my due diligence. I made sure the deeds, because some agents don't even know to look at a deed to pull it up. So I'm pulling up everything on them and I'm pulling up recorded mortgages. You want to make sure things are set before it even goes to the next level. I'm like, this girl dead.
And then if for some reason you don't do that, it becomes on you at that point.
Right.
You're the title agent.
Well, and this was even before we even went to the title plant. This is just to make sure that maybe you could just clean up a few messes before it went there. So then I'm like, this thing has to go through probate.
Oh, a year
But that
later.
listing agent,
Shady.
it made me so angry.
Probably still an agent. That's the part that pissed me off.
You're correct.
That's the part that pissed me off. They don't have zero accountability. Yet I say something in the podcast and I'm over here catching heat at work. But then you have agents like that are getting zero accountability.
And there are some agents that do that's any business that do things that are appalling, and I know I've lost business because I don't participate in that type.
Nor am I going to. I've
No,
called so
I don't.
many agents out on different things.
Yes.
And I'm not nice about it. I'm just not.
Right. I'm starting to lose my niceness after 27 years in it.
Well, if you're not doing the right thing, I have zero use for you, and I'm going to tell you in any uncertain terms to get the.
But I'm also going to do the opposite. If you're amazing and I've done a transaction with you, you will know about it.
And it's ironic. You get excited when you see an offer coming from a certain agent.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You get
Yes.
so excited.
No heat.
No heat, and the communication's going to be there.
Yes.
They're professional. They know what they're doing, and then you'll get an offer from somebody else and go, "Fuck! I hope it's a shitty offer, so I don't have to take it."
Right. And that's awful to think that way, but it's just going to be a hassle.
Not only is it a hassle, it's a time bandit. And I've actually said to other agents, "Don't do anything else. I have it. I'll take care of both sides of it. You stay over there and wait for your check. I got it." Because they're going to fuck it up.
Right. Well, I've done that when I was listing places that couldn't have normal mortgages. And no, she was sweet as can be, the buyer's agent, but she didn't know. I'm like, your client can't have a conventional mortgage on this type of property. It's like a condo-tel. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Well, you talk to the lender. I'm like, you want me to talk to your client's lender? Okay. So I did, and this guy was from out of state. In Florida, we've got that stereotype for a reason. Okay, we're different. That's not based on a lie. And so sometimes it's easier. This is my PSA. If you are buying a home in the state of Florida, I implore you to get an in-state lender.
A public service announcement.
That's my PSA for the day. But he was in another state, and he's like, no, I can do this. I go, you can't. I go, here are the rules. And he's like, what are you, stupid? I'm like, And for me,
oh yeah, that's a trigger word.
it's like Marty McFly with the chicken thing and Back to the Future. I'm like, you can call me a lot of things, but not stupid. And so, and then after 20 minutes, I'm like, do you understand now? He goes, I can't do this alone. I go, that's right, little precious.
Signed,
he's like, maybe,
stupid.
he's like, maybe you don't know about Minnesota. I'm like, well, I used to manage the largest apartment complex in downtown Minneapolis. And he's like, oh no. I'm like, right, oh no. And so, and so I found her somebody else, and she just sat back, not because she was awful. I mean, she just didn't know. And so I got her a new lender and all that good stuff, and it worked out.
To tag on to your PSA about that is that it has so many benefits, obviously, for the state laws and different things like that, but it also has the relationship building too. So if you needed something, a lender like you or Tony or some of the lenders.
I'm not a
with,
lender.
No, but
PSA.
but you've worked with lenders
Yes.
and did different things.
Hundreds of them.
They've gone above and beyond and have the ability to go to the house or meet the person
Right,
in person.
and answer the phone at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and they're local, so the relationship can be built, as opposed to the dude in Minnesota who's not coming down here to get the
Right.
forms or help you with the forms or go to the people's houses and have them sign the forms
Right,
because they
and
don't
make
have
sure that
documents.
it be approved. Like I've had people that were listing their homes and they were brokers, and they said you could have an FHA loan on the house. I'm like, you've only owned it for 60 days. You got to own it for 180 days before you can flip it.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, that scares me.
And realtors should know that.
Well, she was a broker.
Yeah, right. So let alone brokers, realtors should know that.
Right.
So I mean, it's just.
You just have to know. I mean, I feel like with our industry, I try to, even though I've done it for so long, every day I'm trying to learn something new about it.
Well, and you and I have a very similar quality. I don't have an ego. I
Right.
want to learn.
Right.
So there's no ego with me at all. I don't care what you put on my name tag, or you could put, whatever you want to. Garbage man
Sally
is special.
Fuckface on mine, I don't care.
I don't give a damn. I care what you put in my pocket to feed
Right.
my family. So therefore, I don't have an ego. And one of the things I hate the most about this business is, even more so than the car business, is the ego. The mortgage lenders, the brokers, the people, they're so cocky and arrogant. They don't pick up the phone. So it drives me crazy. Not all of them, so please don't.
No, not.
But the
no.
ones that have the ego could go, just
But
go
you always
away.
remember the bad things, easier than the good things. That's why it's in our mind like
Correct.
that.
And
'Cause
so
it's- I mean-
some of and then you see them, they had a little bit of success, not a lot, and they pull up in their Range Rover and they're like, oh, I'm the big bad mortgage guy. And then 2 weeks later, Range Rover for sale on Facebook.
Go back to the center.
The Sentra. That was my first car. The Nissan. It was 1992 Nissan Sentra.
Tell her what
SER.
you had to drive.
I had a 1983 Chevy Cavalier,
With velour seats.
red with
The,
red.
and the headliner was that red velvety
red-
kind of thing.
The seats, the headliner.
Bow,
The
chicka,
door-
bow, bow.
And it was a company car. That's what
That
I
was
said.
a company car.
Well,
I said,
Are
did
you
they sell
shocked?
it with a fedora?
1982,
Yeah.
3, what a.
Did it have like the steering wheel cover, the fuzzy, and then like the?
No, it didn't have a fuzzy, but it was red.
I asked if he had the little carpet balls hanging down.
Oh yeah.
No, it was a company car, no carpet balls.
Oh, it was a fancy company car.
It was a fancy company
It's so funny.
car.
My dad was like that. He was national sales manager for AT&T, and he would have all these guys that worked under him driving like BMWs and very fancy cars. And one of my dad's assistants, the guy goes, "Well, yeah, he drives." I didn't say the name, Mr. Blank,
Blankety blank blank.
blankety blank blank. He drives a Vet, and then later he's like Chevette. My dad drove a 1980 Chevette to
Chevette.
downtown Houston every day while he was the boss. He's like, I don't need a fancy car.
I repoed a couple of Chevettes.
Case
With
people-
that baby blue Naga, how many Nagas were killed for those seats? And your legs would stick to it in Houston and rip your flesh right off.
Had the tuck and roll kind of seats.
Oh, and the hatchback would open up, and I was like 4, and I was back there because
That's what you
70s
did.
were a rough time.
They were.
And I fly out the back. Where is she?
Oh, I rode in a pickup truck for a 2.5-hour drive on the back of plywood, holding on like
Oh,
this
yeah.
in the back of my
Well, mine
dad's
was my dad with a Lone Star beer and his cigarette, and us in the back. Like,
And my dad, he probably didn't even look back.
oh,
Well, he's hoping you'd be gone.
He kept driving faster.
that was the plan.
Oh, fuck, that's some funny stuff. Well, Michelle, I do appreciate you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming out. It's been a blast. One of the funniest episodes yet. Thanks, everyone, for watching today's episode. It is epic. It's going to be funny. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. And don't forget to go to the Back Porch Brewing Company and have a nice cold beer and tell them Mike sent you. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. If you want to hear more, you can catch new episodes on Wednesdays at noon, and all episodes will be on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at the Who's Next Let's Go show.